recreational drugs. So the plan, and I did it. I stuck with it for 6 months. I was eating about 90% raw food. I was fasting 36 hours once a week for 6 months straight. I was going to bed early. I eliminated stress from my life. We just made a decision that I made a decision not really accept extra stress in my life. I feel like there was more to it than just those things, but I just kind of the whole spectrum, all the spokes of the wheel, I just put them all into place at once, and I came off my medicine. And of course the arthritis flared, but this time I wasn't afraid of the flare like I'd always been through my childhood. So we were also, this Dr. Paul Goldberg and I were following my blood tests. So my whole life I've been having blood tests done once every 6 weeks. For one, they monitor the inflammation in the body, the systemic inflammation in the body. And those tests we continued to follow, and they did when I came off the medicines, they spiked. But after 4 months, they started to come back down again, and by 6 months they were back to normal. And starting around the same time, 4 months, and definitely by 6 months, I was feeling good. And I've been symptom-free of systemic inflammation in my body ever since then. Now I have orthopedic structural issues that are kind of like the remnants of having arthritis for 35 years. So I might have kind of acute scenarios go on in certain parts of my body, but that systemic chronic disease is completely gone from kind of following this rigorous protocol for 6 months and maintaining it as well. I don't really maintain the 36-hour fast. I do it occasionally, but back then I did it once a week, every week for 6 months. I've certainly, sleep is a huge factor that I maintain. Actually, a huge player in all this, and I certainly can't omit it, is working on my belief systems. And I did that through prayer work, and I worked with a particular practitioner back in Atlanta who I trusted. But I definitely had to change how I thought about my body and what my body could be and could do and could heal itself, and my physical health. And I think all those factors went hand in hand for me. Raw food being a huge player, and the prayer work being a huge player, as well as all the other factors. And so here I am. It's unbelievable that the majority of my life I've been crippled and in chronic pain, and now I'm not. I'm running around this 35-acre farm on a daily basis and feeling good, exhausted at the end of the day, but it's a good feeling.
Wow.
Yeah. And I too am extremely grateful.
Let me tell you a little bit about my story of healing. After a successful career in tennis, about 6 months later, I got a job teaching school, which was my degree. And one morning, I didn't get up. My muscles just completely froze. I was shocked. I had no idea what was wrong. Finally, a couple hours later, my muscles were able to loosen up. I was able to go to work. But slowly, this was the downward spiral of my health. It started with the chronic muscle spasms, then chronic migraines, then chronic sinus infections, which I ended up having to have surgery on one of my right sphenoid sinuses. Chronic flus. I was in the hospital for numerous days with a fever that never went away. And this really scared myself. It scared my family because they tested me. A lot of my symptoms were very similar to Lyme disease, lupus, MS, HIV and AIDS, which was really, really freaked me out. And of course, everyone that was close to me, was around me. So it was really difficult because never in my life had I ever been, I guess, quote, chronically ill, meaning that every day I didn't feel like I used to. And it happened like that. It was so quick. My health was excellent. I was on top of the world. I could do anything I wanted, when I wanted, where I wanted. Then all of a sudden, it was taken from me. My health was completely taken from me. And it's amazing because we have these goals in life where we want to make money and we want to have material things. And none of us ever really think about our health. I never really thought about my health. I ate whatever. I lived a very fast lifestyle. I ate whatever, drank whatever, did drugs, partied. I lived a very fast lifestyle. That's usually why I tell people I probably did this to myself, because I lived that very fast lifestyle. And so I intoxicated my body so much that I became chronically ill. My body actually literally fell out from underneath me. But during that particular time, I had no idea what was going on. And of course, when you're young, and of course your family teaches you that the guy in the white suit with the stethoscope is always right. So I went on my 10-year journey of exhausting Western medicine. I would go to a doctor and tell them I have these symptoms, and they would give me a pill. I would go to another so-called specialist and tell them these symptoms, and they would give me a pill. I would go to a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, osteopathic, you name it. I saw it during that 10-year stint of having what they diagnosed me finally with was chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. At one given time, I was probably on 40 different kinds of medication for my illness. So I went from completely well to now sick, now taking pills all the time and having to rely on these. So it went from one pill, and that pill would eliminate some of the muscle spasms, but I couldn't sleep. So then I had to take a sleeping pill to combat that side effect, but then that pill had a side effect, so I had to take another pill, another pill, another pill, and it was just this vicious cycle. And I remember one time as a school teacher, I was teaching AP psychology at the time, and looking at my students saying, what did I just say? I was speaking and I was giving a lecture up at the board, and then I looked, and I completely was starting to lose my short-term memory with all the side effects all these drugs had. So finally, I saw the news 2020, and it talked of a neurosurgeon who was doing brainstem surgery, taking the back of people's skulls out and improving chronic fatigue syndrome fibromyalgia. And because I was absolutely desperate, I went to see this guy. And of course, he ran numerous tests on me, like I had, gone through all 10 years of that journey. I was a human pincushion during that 10 years.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he goes, you're a candidate for this surgery. And so about a month going in to the surgery, as luck would have it, to me it was divine intervention, I got my insurance dropped. My insurance found out that I had a pre-existing condition, and my insurance decided that they were not going to cover the $30,000 surgery to open up the back of my brain.
Amen.
Amen. Exactly. I mean, that really was a blessing. I remember at that point, still not exhausting Western medicine, I went to another famous specialist in New York, and he poked and prodded me and ran all these neurological tests on me again. He did a full body scan. I must have had at least 40 CAT scans during this 10-year stint, and numerous MRIs. And he sat me down, and he said, I would never touch you with this surgery. Ever. He goes, I could take your life from you. He goes, you're at least still walking. This is a very dangerous and serious surgery that can take your life. You could be wheelchair bound for the rest of your life. So he looked at me and he said, you have chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. There's no cure for it. You're going to have to accept the fact that you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. It's best that you maybe get a psychotherapist and start dealing with pain management, start dealing with the anxiety and the stress and the depression that's going to come into your life, because this is just what it is for you. You're going to have to accept this as your reality now. And being an athlete all my life, I couldn't accept that. I could not accept that. For a little while on the drive home from New York to Atlanta, I remember for about an hour feeling sorry for myself, kind of crying a little bit, thinking, how did my life get to this point? And then I thought, you know what? If I have to beg, borrow, or steal, I'm going to heal myself of this illness. And sort of by divine intervention, I was going to the movies that night just to kind of get my mind off things. I stop off at a Barnes & Noble, go to the self-help section, and I see a book. It says raw foods. Raw foods, what's that? I had no clue what raw foods was. You know, I know fruits, but I didn't know what raw foods meant. So I grabbed the book, sat down, I read the first chapter, and it really resonated with me that the reconnecting with nature, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating a diet that would help me cleanse my, what I knew was a toxic body, and that my illness wasn't all these exterior things that these doctors were telling me. It was really, I had a toxic, auto-intoxicated body, and that if I cleansed my body, I could heal. If I did these correct things, changing my diet and doing other lifestyle changes, I could actually heal. So at the end of this chapter, this particular author said, what do you have to lose? If you're reading this book, you're probably sick and tired of being sick and tired. Try it. Try it for a month. If you feel a little bit better, keep going. If you feel a little bit better, continue until the disease is gone. Well, I'm here to say that after a year and a half of a very strict raw vegan diet during that year and a half, I cleansed, detoxified my body. I did other things as well, made other lifestyle changes. I completely healed myself. Completely. Complete lifestyle change. And I'm just so grateful and so passionate about it now that I want to give back. You know, here I am on the other side of the coin. You know, once I was a patient, now I'm the healer, so to speak. And I feel so, I have such gratitude for this lifestyle, and that I want to spend the rest of my life helping others. And that's what, you know, our business is all about, Think of DaVita.
Thank you guys very much for this. This is very, very inspiring. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.